Hello, hi, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Anika, and this is the Adobe Illustrator Creative Challenge hosted by me for the month of April. Today, we're crafting vintage logos inspired by the month of April, but for spring. I love spring, and I'm looking forward to spring. So, if you're watching this live and you've never seen a creative challenge before, we have a starter file for you. If you're watching this live on YouTube or on Behance, hi, my name is Anika. Again, there's a starter file down below in the description. We'll jump right into it, but I want to show you where you can find all the challenges before we dive into it. So this is my screen, and I'm at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. This is where all the challenges exist, right? So the month of April that I'm hosting, if you scroll down below, you can see all the challenges are going to sit here. As we progress through the weeks of April, I will be here every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. So every Tuesday, there will be a new challenge that will pop up here. If you click on the Get Started button here, that will lead you to the starter file, which you can download and work along with me, or you can work on the side. Once you have time, you can watch the replay. If you wanted to watch the replay though, where do you go? You go back to behance.net/challenge/illustrator, click on watch video, which is going to lead you to the YouTube or the Behance link. I love that everyone is in chat. If you're watching live, say hi. And also, if you wanted to go back to any of the previous challenges that we've had before, if you scroll down further, you will see all of the previous challenges that we've had over the past few years. And you scroll down, you can click same, get started, watch video. You get the starter file, you get the video replay. So you can watch it together. Watch the replay as many times as you want. It sits in the YouTube channel on Adobe Live, so you can watch it as many times. But without further ado, let's actually go ahead. You can click on the download button, and that's going to lead you to this starter file. Now, this link that I'm going to be using in one of my designs today is in the live chat. So if you're wondering that this link is not in the starter file, that's okay. You will find it in chat. But today, we're actually creating custom vintage logos. I love vintage and retro stuff, and this is my mood board here that I want to use. And what I want to do is use the latest features in Adobe Illustrator to show you how you can use that to find the perfect font for your vintage inspired logo. So all of this was found on Pinterest. None of this is my work. I got this inspiration from Pinterest just for disclosure purposes. And what I want to do is I want to click on this image here and go to my properties panel, and then I want to go to Retype Beta. This is it right over here, Retype Beta, and I click on it. It gives me two options, match font or edit text. If I click on match font, I love that it gives me ways to select the font that I want to match. So when you're matching fonts, the Retype Beta essentially takes outline font or images and gives you a perfect match, or as close as a match that there is, to from that in your either in your machine or in Adobe fonts. So your system fonts will be matched, and also the Adobe activated fonts will also be matched. I'm looking at chat here just to say hello to everyone before we move forward and seeing it everything is okay. Hi Keys, hi Val for putting in all the links. Val is moderating for us. Hi Oliver, Patrick, Caroline, Keys, I already said that. Devlin, Sean, Katerina, welcome in everyone. Thanks for every question that you might have during the stream. I will be looking at chat intermittently, and will be able to answer. I know there are some new folks on YouTube, so if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll look at it and be happy to answer them. All right. So I want to show you how this works. Now, there are multiple things here that you can see, like the fonts that are available. It says Mark, Script, and all of these other fonts that Retype Beta thinks is closest to the font that we have here. Now I can pick and select these fonts here in this text, or I can click on exit and see which one I think is like working for me. Let me go ahead and click like this one, right? And again, match font, and it's going to process the font that I have selected. Now, if I zoom in here, it's going to give me these options that, oh, maybe you wanted something like this, or maybe it's like you wanted like, a very handwritten approach to your font, and this is the font family that you want. And once you click on exit, you can actually use the type tool, which is T on your keyboard, and say treats, for instance, here. and then click on this font in this panel, which is going to change that font. Now it shows orange right now because it's not activated in my Adobe Creative Cloud. And if I hover on the cloud symbol, it says activating, which all of this is live, right? So while I am doing this, I'm going to create something else here and see if this one's activated. This one isn't either, but that's going to be the case for all the fonts that you find here, because most of the fonts that you see in this inspiration board may not be the ones available. But while I was talking in the last 1 minute, Adobe Creative Cloud activated those fonts for us. And if I make this all caps, there are multiple ways to do that. If I make this all caps here, or if I have my type here, go to type, go to change case and change uppercase. This looks very close to the ones that we thought we picked in the first place, right? I can actually go back, click on match font here and find maybe goodies. And maybe I think this one is really nice. So maybe I want to click on this and then I want to say goodies and select this guy. Right? So this is, I love that you can actually find the fonts here. So what I did was you can go ahead, mess around and play around with these images and go to Retype Beta. And this will, I think I can go 30 minutes just finding the right font, right? And 30 minutes is an understatement. So while I was doing that in my own time, I came across these 3 fonts that I really wanted to use. One of them is Hood Fonts. It's a Chutzpah font and I really love this. So I'm just going to use that because I feel like it has a very retro vibe. And some of these are the ones that I found from these images. What I would like you to do is go back to these images, click on match font again, and find as many fonts as you think will match the vibe of your brand, right? So what I'm creating today is a floral flowers and farm brand, and it's called Rustic. Now you can go back and play around with any of these images and all of them to find as many fonts as you want. And then you can even make a collection of the vintage fonts that you find. But if you think that's a bit too much, you have Adobe Fonts for you, which has, there's a link in chat. If you look up vintage on Adobe Fonts, you'll be able to find all of these vintage fonts here that you can use in your workflow. But what good is just staying in Illustrator all the time, right? I love Illustrator, as I'm sure you do too, because you're here watching this. I love just staying in Illustrator and let Illustrator do its magic. So why don't we use these fonts that we had here to create some magic? So I'm going to get these bigger. What I want to create today is something called as, I named this brand Rustic. So I'm going to say that here, Rustic Flowers and Farm. That's what we're creating. And I have an Adobe stock asset that I license. So I'm going to go to Adobe stock. This link is also in chat. So if you're watching this live, you can get the link, get hands on it, and it is a free asset. So you can use any of these floral assets there. So it's, I use this one and I brought it over to my file here. And this is the one that I'm using. I'm going to change the color to this olive green color that I have here. And I thought that this would be like a really cool way that I can basically show how you can use some of the fonts that Retype Beta has, right? Looking at the chat here to see if there are any questions. Okay, awesome. No questions so far, so we are good. Okay, I feel like this is the font that I really like. While it is like spring inspired with the floral elements, I think it's also very vintage with the very sans serif versions of the fonts that we have here. I am gonna go ahead and I think the slogan that I used was like bloom with elegance. And what I want to do here is actually find something from here that I can use. Maybe I can use this guy for a Retype Beta just so I can show you how that works. So go on Retype, go on match font, and I like this one. And while it is not picking up the F really well, it is still giving me the font name. And I feel like I really love this script font here. So I'm going to select my type here and click on the type here, the font here. And that's going to change the type that I have, which is super cool because now I don't need to go ahead and find any script font that will go well with the sans serif because my inspiration is helping me along with Retype Beta in Adobe Illustrator. One more time, I'm going to do that again. So this is still the same font that I had, which was sans serif. I went to my inspiration file, which is just a PNG that is available in the starter file. Click on the properties panel right over here, then click on Retype Beta, click on match font. and that's going to generate and give you options that can be possible matches for the text that you have selected in the image. It can be LTC Swing Bold, and these are the fonts in your system or in Adobe fonts, right? So I love all of these, but I do think the first one is the closest match. So you click on exit now, go to the text that you want to change that font to, right? Or you can even make a new text box. Press T on your keyboard, say hello, for instance, and then you can select the font here. And it can be this one, it can be the second one, this one is getting activated, and so on and so forth. But I'm gonna go back to the first one. And this is how you can have that font that you found in the image as the font that you're using in your design. So as simple as that. If you have any questions, again, let me know and I will be happy to answer. But using this technique, I want to make logo variations of this brand that I'm creating right here. So we have about 15 minutes left in the stream, and we will get right into it. I think I want to create 4 or 5 variations at least for this today. So I'm going to do that really quickly. All of my shortcuts are here on top, but in case you miss anything, let me know. I will be happy to answer your questions. All right. I'm just trying to create like a monogram logo here. I think this is like such a vibe with spring and like vintage stuff. And I want to create something as like type on a path, which I think really works well for something like this. So I'm going to take that shape, make it into stroke, and now I'm going to use that stroke into a type on a path. So click on the text tool here, right click on it and select type on a path. Select that and then write your text here, rustic flowers and farm, and click on the eyedropper tool, I on the keyboard, and this is where we have it. I'm going to remove this over here on the side, and then you can use these handles anywhere. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see these handles clearly, and you can change where it goes, right? Go back out, and you can also change the sizing of this. So let's say we make it like 48, and then I'm going to zoom in again just to show you how I'm changing the handles. Yeah, I think sometimes it can be a little bit finicky, but as you work with it, it really helps, and you really get the hang of it. I love it. Isabel, Izzy in chat, Kristen in chat, thank you so much for tuning in. I love that you all are here. If you have any questions, again, we are working on vintage type logos, so let me know if you have any questions. All right, now again, if you want to change how the type on a path looks, I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to go to type on a path and go to type on a path options. This is where all the options for type on a path exist. You can change the effects here that we have. You can flip the text. I'm turning my preview on so you can see what happens as I go through these options. Click on the flip button. This is where the text goes. I do not want that in this case. I'm going to let that sit as default. And align to path is one of my favorite tools, because here you can change the text to be ascender, which is inside the circle that you have selected or the path that you have selected. Descender, which is above, on the center, which is like on the path itself, or baseline, which is sitting on the path itself, right? I think I want center just so that it adds like the right amount of spacing, because that's what the size of my path was. And you can also change the spacing here to be manually or just have it auto. I always leave it as auto just because it helps make things easier for me. All right, I'm gonna click OK, and we have something here. I think this works well for the first one. I think this one is too dark for this, so maybe I'm gonna go lighter on this. And this is the first logo that we have. I think this is also a little bit bigger, so let's go 36, and maybe I want to bring it like just a little bit down. Go back size to 36 and something like so. Okay, I'm just playing this by ear, seeing what works for me and what doesn't, right? And then I'm going to select these two shapes, click on the center shape for it to be the key object, click on the align panel here, horizontal align, center align. Now, if you don't see these panels on top, you can simply go to window, go to workspace, and click on Essentials Classic. That's going to give you the control panel on top. You see Anika here, which is my panel, but if I click on Essentials Classic, the top panel still stays. I typically use the Essentials Classic panel for myself, but I like to have my panels everywhere. So I have customized it to be my own. As you can see, this opened right when I switched it back to my own workspace. All right, well, making your own workspace is a story for another time, but we are gonna use some of this text here to add some of these elements. Okay, so I'm gonna say like established um 2014 or something, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. And meanwhile, again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna look at chat here. Um, all right, no questions so far. So let me know if you do have any questions. All right, established, and then on this side, I want like 2014. Okay, and I think I'm gonna press Command R on my keyboard here. If you're working on a Mac, it's gonna be Command R. If you're working on a PC, it's Control R. And you can drag guidelines out just so that you know where you're placing your text. And this is where your complete lockup exists. So if you want this text to be like within the bounds here, you can drag these out just like so, and this is where your text will sit. Now this is helpful because now I can just use these guides as my guideline to where I'm placing this text here. So depending on what kind of logo you're creating, you can do that in here as well. So let me decrease this. Let me make this center aligned. I think that looks good. And then I'm gonna use these two and change the sizing. Let me make it 24 points. Bring it down, hold shift and press the down arrow key once, and now just the down arrow key until you find that this is the right leading. Okay, all right, I'm gonna center align these. So I'm gonna go over here and align it to center, and then maybe I just want to like put it to the side here. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see everything, making sure you can. Okay, awesome. All right, and then I'm gonna bring it here. Okay, so it's looking good. I think it needs some kind of like element that I'm not sure what's gonna be. So let's go back to our inspiration here, the ones that we like. This is the Adobe stock file, and I think this little flower here could work great as one of the elements. So why don't we double click into our illustration that we licensed and then double click into it. We have entered the isolation mode. Press Command C and go back out. And now you can press Command V anywhere, and this is the element that we have. So maybe I want it like center line. Press both, select the shape that you just pasted and select the center circle. And now I want to align it to the circle. So click the circle again and then hit horizontal align center, and that's going to align it to the center. And now I'm going to copy paste, option click and drag here. I see that this is not centered to this grid that I've created, so I'm going to bring it to the center like so. Yeah, I think that looks good. I am going to zoom out though, just because zooming out really does help. And I think this guideline is kind of throwing me off, so I am going to copy paste this. Actually, I'm going to go to window. Wait, I'm going to go to view, guides, and go to hide guides. And this is what my lockup looks like right now. I feel like this text is a little bit big, so I'm going to downsize that to maybe like 36 points here, and maybe like even 24 to match this energy. And then I'm going to bring it up like so. I think this looks good for our first pass, but these elements are a bit too closer. So I'm going to hit that shift left arrow key, shift right arrow key twice just to introduce some space. And here we have our first logo lockup. I love that you can do that really quickly here, but I do want to showcase one more, or maybe like even two more. We have like about 5 minutes. So why don't we go ahead and copy paste this variation. What I did was select everything, hold option on your keyboard if you're working on a Mac, alt on your keyboard if you're working on a Windows device, hold shift and then click and drag this out here, right? And what I want to do here is, maybe I don't want these text options here. So I'm going to delete this guy. I'm going to delete this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And then maybe I want to double click into this and just paste it again, right? Or you know what? I'm going to copy this type on a path here. Press Command C if you're in a Mac. Press Control C if you're in a Windows, and Command V or Command F to paste in place. And I'm going to go to type on a path, go to the options again, and this time flip the text, right? And as soon as I flip it, it's over here. Now, what I want to do is create something like so. Maybe make it like a little bit variation, like a variation of it. So I'm gonna move these sides to like create a variation, right? And then as you go, you can zoom in and see how that looks. I think this looks good. I'm gonna delete this guy over here, and maybe I want to bring it a little bit to the side. And the last thing that I would want to do here is I'm pasting the shape again and bringing this like so. Pressing Command Shift X on my keyboard will make the fill to the stroke, right? And once you click on this guy, I can eyedrop it to this color. And if you hold Shift and eyedrop it, it's only going to select the color and not make it a fill here. But I feel like this is like too thin for the type that we have. So go back to your properties panel, have the stroke selected, and increase the shape size here. And I feel like that's all right. I feel like this is missing something. And again, it's probably this floral element. So maybe I can introduce that somewhere here. And that kind of looks all right. Obviously, there's a lot of playing around that you can do with type lockups like these. I think that this is too big on my screen. That's why it like is throwing me off. But these are 2 logo variations that we created today. I'm gonna go ahead and make some more, and I will look at chat in the last 5 minutes just in case we have any questions. Looking at chat here. All right. Okay. So I think this looks good. I like I love that Cleverance chat says off center. Yeah, I love that it's like a little bit like edgy in a way, that it has like some things hanging out here. But I love it. I am not too sure if I'm a fan of this, to be honest, like this variation, but that's why we create variations, right? So let's bring this one down. This one is a little bit wonky, so I'm gonna bring that up, zoom into that little wonky here and lean into the wonkiness. And maybe this time I'm bringing down this text here, and maybe I'm bringing this guy here as well. So I'm gonna say bloom with elegance, but maybe this time it's like on a 2-line. Hold Option and drag up to change the leading or the line spacing. And maybe this time I just want to use these side elements, right? So I'm gonna use the eraser tool, which sits right under here. Shift E or just click on the eraser tool, and maybe I want to delete all these. Hold the square bracket to increase the size of your eraser, and the left square bracket to decrease the size, right? And I'm gonna delete all these points here. So let's zoom in and see what happens. Okay, we're almost there. All right, and now we are left with only these 2 things, and I think this is lovely. I can bring this over here, and I can bring this, select all of it, group it, Command G, and then you can bring this over here as well. I think that looks good. I think I can get behind something like this. And then you can say bloom with elegance, maybe increase the size a little bit, maybe like 36 points, change the kerning, change the leading of this, Option drag, and then I'm gonna bring it to here and center line it again, which is how we do it. And one of the logos is like right here. With only 3 more minutes to go, I want to do this super quickly so we can pack in as many logo variations. But what I want you to do with this challenge is experiment. So while you're creating all of these logo variations using Retype Beta and using the inspiration that I provided in the starter file, I want you to experiment and really play around with shapes. It can be circles, it can be rectangles, it can be pentagons, it can be hexagons. Use everything that you have and everything that you see to be inspired by floral shapes and make your own logo variations. There's a Discord that we have where you can share your logo variations that you create, and I would love to see what you create. But I'm gonna go back here just because I wanted to chat. I just like transitioned to my video screen, but I'm gonna go back here, show you what we did today. Maybe something like this, and maybe I want to decrease the size of this a little bit. So let's do that to 21. And this would be good here. So let me bring that here. Bloom with elegance. And obviously you can go ahead and play around with all of these shapes really quickly. And then the last thing I'm going to do is bring this floral little element here. And yeah, we have these 3 logo lockups that we created on our stream today. We started with this inspiration, which was our mood board, and we used the Retype Beta feature to find the font that would be perfect for our vintage inspired spring themed logo. For me, It was a flowers and farm that I created, and I got this Adobe stock illustration, which I used in my design to create my vintage logo. So I came up with these three logo variations, but I would love to see what you come up with. If you are tuning in for the first time, there's a starter file at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. You can go back, watch the replay if you missed the live stream. Go back, download the starter file, and I will be here every Tuesday this month at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time or 12:30 p.m. Eastern time here live, talking about all things branding, foundation skills, sketch to vector, which we're using the next time. So join me next week, Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. All right. I hope you have fun with this. Put your work in the Discord, which is the AI Discord, also in chat and the stream description. This is me, Anika Aggarwal, signing out for your Illustrator Creator Challenges. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.